let's talk about the latest and greatest, but it's not really. It's been around for what, maybe 25, 30 years. It's been kind of prevalent. The top reasons why women and men are getting plastic surgery. And what it looks like in the dating world. Do men prefer the real or do they prefer the not so real? Okay. So let me read off the top 3 reasons. There's 3 reasons, and I'm pretty sure you can name the first one. The first reason why men and women get plastic surgery. It is because of low self-esteem and a low self-image.
The number one answer on the board.
Right. So there's a lot of meat on that bone, right? So we want to go and kind of discuss a little bit more about that. But number 2 is because they're addressing the effects of aging and pregnancies. So you get the mom makeovers and, you want to get rid of some of the little bit of the wrinkles. So those are the non-invasive surgeries that you might want to look at. And then the third is just to feel comfortable in their appearances. Especially after extreme weight loss or an accident and they're cut up really bad, you have to, or just extreme amount of childbearing. So now here's the really surprising part about this statistic. Okay. Did you know that there were 84 to 86% of women in the United States that have participated in both invasive and non-invasive surgeries?
That's staggering.
That is staggering. There's a huge proportion for how many teenagers are doing it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. They are not even fully developed, but they are doing it.
Yeah.
There's 14 to 16% amount of men.
Okay. So 86%, 85% of us are not. We're good.
Yeah.
When we we get a scar, we deal with it. When we
put some Lanacane and some Tussin on.
When we get fat, we're out on the beach jogging in slow motion.
And calling it a dad bod.
You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
You talk with a lisp, you talk with a lisp. You know?
It is what it is. You get what you see. That's it. Right?
Come here, girl. This is Clearthur. Girl, where you going? Yeah,
oh,
if you only knew what I do.
Elroy.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, I just wanted to highlight some of the things that men are getting.
Yeah.
And of course, the women are doing the BBLs and the breast, implants and reduction.
Sure.
Women are known to have also rhinoplasties and things of that sort. So for number 1, for men and their procedures that they're doing that are surgical, what do you think it is?
The number one procedure or number one mental thought process behind it?
No, the number 1 procedure.
Hair.
Yes. How did you know?
Yeah, well, it's hair. But,
hair implants are the number 1 cosmetic surgery for men.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? That's a long process too.
Yeah. I can relate to hair. You
got a head full of hair.
I got a head full of hair. And if I didn't have a head full of hair, I used to cut myself bald when I was a kid. So I'm not adverse to being bald.
Okay.
I did that early on.
You know what? My dad has a head full of hair, but he shaves every day faithfully.
Yeah.
And if he lets it grow out for a couple days, he has a head full of gray hair.
Yeah. So I'm not adverse to it, but I get some people, it's hair, they want it back. But, it is what it is. But let's get on with it. I mean, people have different levels of self-confidence.
Yeah.
And I think we look at self-confidence from an exterior standpoint, like meaning, let's see what I say. We look at a thing as like a standalone, like, oh, I have self-confidence. It's almost like saying, oh, this guy is a coward and this guy is brave, right? And I think we look at too many things as a standalone and not look at what's behind it.
Gotcha.
Right. And because we're all human, I think we all have some of the same machinations in us, but we don't necessarily work on the same things and have the same underpinnings as the other person that makes them appear to be confident, makes them appear to be brave. And we don't have the underpinnings that makes the person, as a result, become self-conscious and full of self-doubt.
Yes.
I don't think it's the symptom itself is the cause, right?
Right.
So what's underpinning behind it, the duality of it all, right? And so for me, and we could get back into the subject, but what we're talking about, low self-esteem, right?
Correct.
I look at in my time, we grew up a lot different than the kids do now. I remember I even saw a shift. I could actually see a shift in how I grew up and how my younger brother grew up. There was a slight shift in the communication of the school system and the adults and the processes. It became a slight shift. So I could see it starting to take place, as early as 5 years after me. Right? As early as 5 years after me. Of course, it became, it's almost unrecognizable to me now. How children are viewed in the world. Right?
Yeah.
And so they don't go to the park. They don't, every community looks like a retirement community. Every community. Saturday in the middle of the day, when I was growing up, anywhere you went, there was a reason you drove 15, 25 miles an hour is because you were navigating around children playing in the street.
Yes.
Right? There was stickball games. There was freeze tag. There was everything. There was children outside. Now you go outside. The only people you see outside getting exercise is adults.
Yeah.
And for a brief time during COVID, I saw the adults bring their children out and they're riding their bikes with their children. I mean, how protective are we?
Right.
That we're not allowing them to develop on their own. And inside of this interpersonal, interperspective development becomes an outer connection that we have to make. And the children aren't making this outer connection to be at peace with who they are in the world.
Right. We give them too many options and it's either right or wrong. And it's not I'm trying to hurt your feelings, right?
Because we sorted that out when we were children.
Yes,
and
on the playground.
It wasn't on the news, when a kid was picked on or called a name by another kid or another kid was mean to him.
Right.
You just learned to deal with it. You either learned to laugh at yourself or you got into a fight or you got angry or you got butter. But over a period of time, you grew up.
Yes.
And you stopped fighting and you stopped responding and you saw who you were. You were not the prettiest girl. You were not the pretty boy. You were not the funniest kid. Right. You were not the jock. And if you were any of those things, the chances are you weren't two of them. Right? Most people weren't the best at two things. Some people just had magnetism. You see one guy and he just, wherever he goes, everybody is just either around this guy, and it's just like, he's just that guy, and that wasn't you, that wasn't me, that wasn't everybody. But I remember just like the Bill Cosby show, the Fat Albert and the gang. That you had Fat Albert, you had Russell, you had all of these characters.
Yes.
They were all different. Some was cool. Some had a speech impediment. Some had a weight problem.
Yes.
Some of them was fly. Some of them was always jive turkey, this jive turkey. But they were all one mob. They all kicked up dust together.
Yes.
And that's how we were. We grew to accept ourselves in different platforms. So with that being said, I think our sheltering of the youth over years of the growing up process of other children has really taken a root to where they're just not ready to go out and face the world for who they are. And the celebrity dynamic exacerbates this situation.
Yes.
Because most of the people they know are not the people in the community, but the celebrities. And they're all airbrushed. They're all rich. They're all supposed to be supermodels. They're all
filtered.
talented. They are all the best at something.
And deep fakes.
And so now you don't get to, you're scared to present yourself to the world as just, hey, this is Susan. Hey, this is Charles. Hey, this is Tanisha. This is who she is. You know, I rock rough and stuff with my Afro puffs.
Hey,
Rage, rock on with your bad self. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like LL Cool J said, I need an around the way girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so here's my thing. When I was a kid, we was in love with women who had pigtails. I mean, we was dreaming about them. We was fantasizing about them. That song, Just My Imagination.
Yeah.
I done been there several times where it was just me and my imagination. I had a love affair inside my mind.
Oh my.
And they had pigtails. There was nothing perfect. There was nothing airbrushed about them. They were just had a little cuteness, and I liked her little big eyes and her little
And a pretty smile.
her little pretty smile and her little fat nose and the way her little cheek went up to the side.
And that dimple sometimes,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
the way the mama put the Vaseline on her lips and her forehead, made her forehead shine.
Covered up the hair with a bangs. Lord.
We as little boys, and so that generation didn't have a real problem reproducing. That generation didn't have as much of a problem, well, there's a beginning of being married.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they look forward to it.
They look forward to it. So I said all of that as a backdrop to self-esteem or lack thereof doesn't exist in a bubble. There's other underlying factors that helped you build yours up, and there's other underlying factors that cause the other person to lose theirs.
Yes. So that brings me to a point about they have a particular type of disorder that's called, and that labels this, and it's called BDD, body dysmorphic disorder. And let me read what it says of the meaning. It says it's a mental condition characterized by extreme preoccupation with self-perceived defects in the appearance of the body, leading to distress and impairment of social and occupational functioning. There are 5 symptoms of this type of disorder, this BDD disorder. Perceived flaws. You know, I think of white chicks, you know, where she's like, I don't know, I look fat in this. And he was like, what? Where? And she just starts picking out every flaw, right? Compulsive behaviors like mirror checking or skin picking. And I could be I could fall for that part, for the skin picking, but I think mine is more with anxiety than anything. Compulsive behaviors like avoiding social situations, constantly comparing one's appearance to the others, and seeking cosmetic procedures or other forms of cosmetic treatment to feel better. And these symptoms are caused by significant distress and impairment in a person's daily life. Now, let's talk about Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Like I said, he was the first person that in large scale we watched.
Yes.
And we looked at him as, he's weird. He has a problem going on. Something's wrong with this guy.
From the 70s, Michael, to
Oh, yeah. And the thing about
90s.
him is because he was such a good-looking kid.
Yes, he was.
And he came from such a good-looking family. So that's why it was weird. It would have been different if his nose was 9 inches wide, or one of his eyes was on top of his forehead, or if his,
Right.
things like that. I am not against plastic surgery. I'm not against the concept of it. Like I say, if I got into an auto accident, I would want them to take the skin off of my leg and put it on my forehead. Nobody wants certain things. But at a certain point, we have to love ourselves, love our makers and creators, creation, what they
Yes.
made and what they created. Meaning, I take pride in my family's heirloom, which is me.
Absolutely.
Right? I am literally a family heirloom.
Yes, you
right?
are.
And all of my kids and my siblings, they're family heirlooms. They are what the family's legacy is. It's the people. We always look at things as the monetary value, but it's the human value, right? And so when you have a certain pride in that, right? And you're not looking for pretty, you're looking for the beauty. And I've never seen anything that was beautiful that wasn't distinguished and unique.
Yeah.
See, pretty can be so perfect that it looks plastic. They would say like the Barbie girl, that's pretty.
The BBL girl.
But
now.
yeah, but we don't look at the Barbie as anything beautiful. Right? So Barbie doesn't hit you. It's almost like having a singer that sings in a perfect pitch, but they don't have any soul.
Okay, now.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So this is where the world is going into, and it's what I hope it digs itself out of, right? And it's like the Jacksons was the first family, and especially Michael, because not only was he a good-looking guy, but we all loved him. We thought he was awesome. We thought he was special. But
my
everybody
gosh.
was sitting there like,
There's no one out here that can be or top Michael Jackson.
well, the kids can't understand it. Because what happens like Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan is they move the needle.
Yeah.
So they move the needle of entertainment. So what you don't realize is the quality and the emphasis and the pizzazz that you see. He started it at that level. So Michael Jordan started hooping at a level that now the kids watching him could look at. So now the Chris Browns and the Ushers could watch Michael Jackson. So I was looking at it with my grandkids. It's like, hey, he's nice, but I don't see what he was such a big deal. He was a tremendous deal. Look,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson is the only person I know to this day that women have died from seeing him.
I know. There's footage.
They
of
have
it.
literally passed out and died. They was in so awe of this guy.
Yeah.
Nobody else can say.
He was internationally known.
Yeah.
And people really saw him like he was a god.
Yeah.
And
But
he just, all he did was just turned his head and they were falling out.
he was loved, but this body dysmorphic
Yeah.
behavior, that's what we saw. But remember, there was another thing going on at that time
What?
that was similar, and it was more popular. It's called being bulimic.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
what's the other word where they don't want to eat? There's another word for
There's bulimia and
and then
there's
anorexia.
yes.
Anorexia nervosa, whatever they call it. So the girls were so obsessed with being thin that they wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Right. And usually it wasn't big girls. It was girls that were already, because they were bulimic and anorexic, already like ridiculously skinny. And now you want to get skinnier. Right. So these are conditions that your mind can go into and take things too far. But I think when we don't have a value system of ourselves and nature, we fall more victim to these types of things. Instead of using them in the type of moderation for the type of reasons that would be more sane.
Yes.
Right?
And not only that, I believe that, you know, with Michael Jackson, esteem with his vitiligo was really, it predicated more about his nose and more about his hairline and more onto his, you know, his thin waist. And
it's like the abyss. It just gets deeper.
And then not only that, you start to see Janet change her nose. You saw, you know, LaToya change her appearance and her
and
nose.
They were pretty girls already.
I know. And I think Rebe didn't do anything.
None of them got prettier.
Not
one of them.
They were already beautiful.
Not one of them became better looking. All of them became lesser looking in the eyes of the majority of the population as a result of all of this surgery. And there not one of them have I seen have a surgery that actually improved their looks. That's the irony.
That's the caveat, right? Yeah. So with that being said, being that now we have, you know, with the Michael Jackson going through the vitiligo is I want to say is correctly, and then the different types of nose procedures, and you know, seeing that going through his family, you could see how it can pass from generation to generation, because not only did that go through with his siblings to kind of keep this Hollywood image, but the dysmorphia even developed more.
Yeah, in the public.
And the public eye. And the public picked up on it. So it was no longer an heirloom type of thing. You know, it was now we want to be like Mike. You know?
See, I've lived long enough I never understood how important it was. Mm-hmm. But at one point in stage in my life, I said, you can't teach time.
Correct.
I don't know how many years of college you can't teach time.
You're right.
But they used to always talk about the circle of life and seeing the circle of life. And I finally start realizing I've seen the circle of life. I couldn't see it at 15. I couldn't see it at 25.
Right.
I was still in stage blah, blah of the circle of life.
Yeah.
But when you go from being the child from being the baby to the youngest child to having younger siblings to the youngest kid that's hanging out on the block to the youngest adult that's at the job to now you're the middle, and then you get older and you have children and you have more children, and the next thing you know, your children are having children, and the people that you used to hang out with have gotten older, and the people who were a little older are really old, and the people who were your parents are like, you know, they're old, and so you've seen this circle. And what I mean by I said all of that to say that to see the degree that society now is into what the scriptures call idols.
Yes.
So there's a show on TV called American Idol. So there's a reason it's called American Idol is because if you win, you get to be a quote unquote star or a celebrity.
In Vegas.
Right.
With the platform.
Right.
And you have a residency.
Right. So the scriptures, if you believe in any scriptures, warns us against idol worshipers.
It does.
So you think it's a particular religion. You could be inside of something and that be named. So I believe personally that we live in a society of 90+% idol worshipers.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because when I was a child, right, we only had 5 channels on TV. So we couldn't be sucked into media the way the people are sucked into media today.
Wow.
Because there was no time to be sucked in. The kids show came on in the morning, which is Saturday morning cartoons or or before you go to school for the 20 minutes, if you woke up early enough, you could watch cartoons. You went to school, you came home, you might have caught the afternoon special. Then there was nothing on TV till 7 o'clock prime time. You watched the A-Team and you went to bed. That was the max TV you could watch. That was if you was a heavy TV watcher. You watched 3 hours of TV in a day, right? I guarantee you the average kid is on their phone 6-7 hours just on the phone alone, right? And so that television had an impact on us. The television, the celebrities, they did have an impact on my generation, but it's not nearly the degree that I see today. And what I mean by idol worshipers is that you could see the humans change and shift based on what the celebrities brought, right?
That's so true.
They changed the way they dress. They changed the way they think. They changed the way they act. Everything changes. The styles, everything changes based on celebrity culture, right?
Yes.
And so tattoos have been around forever. They're not new.
Never been.
They're not new. But I remember the first time that girls got tattoos.
Oh, wow.
The first time that girls got tattoos was in the late 80s and early 90s. And they would all get almost the same thing. Mm-hmm. They get a rose on their shoulder or a Nefertiti on their little leg or something like that. There's a little Nefertiti. That was like two of the most popular ones. It'd be a Nefertiti, right? Mm. And so before then, the people who got tattoos were like prisoners.
Yeah.
Right?
And so, those tattoos were ridiculous.
Yeah, and they were like, the Hells Angels bikers. Right. And so I'm not here to knock anything, but it became popular on television. It became popular in a couple genres. And then when you saw that cycle go through, then you saw, man, you look around, it's like 50, 60% of the people, it seems like, are heavily, heavily, heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
But this has been around for thousands of years. So why did they suddenly decide to say, hey, tattoos are such a great thing to get? Is it because they're thinking for themselves, or is it because it became popular through mainstream media and society?
The popularity, I believe, is the answer for $400, Alex.
There you go. Which means that unknowingly, because it feels like it's always our decision, right? Mm-hmm. Unknowingly, because we become an idol worshiper, right? We unknowingly obey that which we worship, right? And there's a slight danger in there. Mm-hmm. If you're worshiping something and you know not what it is, and you're obedient to that which you're worshiping, and when you do the thing that your idol is doing, and you obey it, and you think it's your idea, and it's not even your idea, it's your idol's idea, that's a dangerous place to be in.
Yeah, it is.
Because the people all feel like they're expressing their own individuality, yet they're all doing the exact same thing.
Yes. It's like, so you and I are both, we march to the own beat of our drum, right? We don't tend to try to kind of follow the crowd or of course there are some things that, it's going to be popular amongst, but
we conform to things.
We conform to things, but if we had it our way, I would not be in the same category. And I'm not talking about my appearance in this particular case. I'm talking about the way I enjoy my space and the time I spend with someone and my energy and, and the vibes that come through. I feel as if, it takes a certain amount of self-esteem to be in my circle. It takes a certain amount of positive self-image to be in my circle. You got to understand, I want to hang with people who know that they can get things figured out and we can do certain things, and not so much of the mental of I don't look good about doing this. I don't feel good. That's not my right side. I can't. That's just is to me. Those are additional nuances, but those things are real for a lot of people.
Yeah, think of it as a distraction.
Yeah.
So think of it as like you have been plagued. It's like a plague. Like we're talking about a type of psychosis, right? It's like everything else in my mind is working right. I'm a great person. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. But every 5 seconds, I see a checkerboard and a checkerboard on the right and a flashing red light on the left.
Yeah.
Just think about how much of an impedance that will be on my life. Just to see a flash of a checkerboard and a flashing red light every 5 seconds. Now, I know it's not real, but that checkerboard and that red light is a distraction. So while you become over obsessed with your appearance and over obsessed with what everyone else is doing and over obsessed with all of these things, and you're idol worshiping something that has no value, the thing that you're worshiping doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have a pathway forward for you, right? So if we worship something that cared about us and had a pathway forward for us, it would be different. But this machine called the media doesn't care about us. They don't know that we exist. They're not really giving us anything that's going to truly benefit us to the core, right? And that becomes the problem. That becomes the problem with this type of dystopia and wanting to present these images that are not associated with higher principles.
Yeah.
If that's what I say.
Now, I can say that there are some game changers out there.
Yes.
All right. People like fashion supermodel Winnie Harlow. She embraces her vitiligo very well. She literally models with no makeup. She embraces it. She's become a top fashion model, and she's a beautiful Black young lady who has she's a Canadian fashion model. She's been a spokesperson for the skin condition, and she has gained prominence, especially in 2014, in being a contestant on the 21st cycle of the U.S. television series America's Next Top Model. And so she's gone out, and I'm pretty sure there are models out there that have, embraced their tattoos as well. But when it comes to things that are genetically dysmorphic, she has made it and embraced it, and she's been blowing up ever since.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. I'm not talking about anybody because under the surface, none of us are really better than the other.
Absolutely.
We just have a different vantage. I mean, everybody wasn't blessed to be born and this good looking. I understand. Who are you to talk about us people when you're so dazzling and good looking? I mean,
oh my gosh,
really,
that's right.
There could be a thin line, between you feeling like you've got it all together and everything falling apart.
Yeah,
and by no means am I trying to portray myself as someone who isn't blessed so far to have not completely fallen apart.
Yeah,
some of the things that other people have had to go through, I have never had to go through them. Including being a child or a teenager in modern times. I haven't been through that.
Right.
How I would respond is anybody's guess.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a simple thing like change the pecking order of your birth in your family and realize that you wasn't made to be the first child or you wasn't made to be a middle child. Like the pressure of being a middle child would probably just be too much for you. You wouldn't be the same. Right.
Yeah. And I was the first child.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to me, my lifestyle was totally different.
Yeah, and I didn't get to be the first child. I was a middle child, right? And so we just have a different route. It's a different route, and it has its own set of pressures, but certain pressures you don't have, right?
Absolutely.
And so everybody is like, this generation isn't worse than us. They just
No, not at
they
all.
have some things worse than us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And but the reactions are totally kind of different.
Yeah, the
Have
reaction.
you noticed that we reacted differently to those things back then?
We-
We used to
yeah.
say sticks and stones may break my bones.
Yeah.
But your words will never harm
Yeah.
me or hurt me.
But remember, the kids didn't create this environment. The adults did.
Yes.
The adults decided it was time to protect every child from every nick and bump and bruise and cut, and any kid calling them ha ha ha, you look funny. And so
Right.
now we want to call News Channel 3 and say they've been teasing our kids instead of talking to our kids. It's like, hey, some people are going to laugh at you. You can either laugh at yourself
or
or ignore.
or you
them.
ignore them.
You got to learn how to have an inner you that's stronger than what's going on the outside. And I think that's what the problem is like,
We didn't give them the defense mechanisms, tools, and resources, like they need.
100%.
Okay.
And so I think, they talk about cutting art out of schools.
Oh,
They talk about people not having a meaning or purpose for their life. So one of the things that stuck with me was when we see all of the graffiti and the tattoo all over people's bodies, they're trying to draw meaning on their lives.
yes.
And if you think about it, it's a symptom of a much bigger problem. And the problem isn't the individual, it's the society that the individual lived in. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has some type of psychological thing. You just like tattoos, you like tattoos. It's not a big deal.
Right. And we're not saying the ones that are tribal, like your Hawaiians
And even non,
that have the tribal tattoos.
even non-tattoos. I don't have any tattoos. I don't.
Same here.
And I don't have any problem with a person I don't look at people
Never.
like, oh, you got a tattoo. I never did. I got friends, the closest friends and relatives that have plenty of tattoos.
And I've designed tattoos for my sons, the whole nine.
But my thing is when I see a society as I say, collectively run into a particular thing, I want to understand the psychology behind it.
Yes.
Right? If it's always been here, if everybody walked outside and decided to pour milk on their pants,
Is the world going to do it too?
yeah. You see
Now,
what I'm saying?
I grew up with, and I'm pretty sure you did too. Your mom said, just because your friend jumps off the bridge, it means that you're going to do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
we're talking about all of these different appearance things and how the celebrity culture, whatever was dystopia was going on in the celebrities, because we followed them, we probably inherited that same dystopia.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it, because I believe that the celebrities know they have a lot of influence.
Yeah.
However, when you're an adult, and we can't say all adults are mature, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got kids out here more mature than some adults.
Oh, no doubt.
But to decipher, to have the mental capacity to decipher that a celebrity goes home and does the same thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
They cook their food, they go wash their hands, they go use the bathroom, they go do all. I grew up, I swear to you, I didn't think Michael Jackson ever saw a toilet.
Mm-hmm.
That's how high I placed him on a pedestal in my life at one time.
Right.
As a little girl.
Right.
Seeing him moonwalk, and he's doing all of these entertaining, defying entertainment to a total different level that I was sitting in that kitchen on that wax floor trying to moonwalk just like he did across, right? Now, there was times that now you see these young girls, they're wanting the full lips. And you know how back in the day we used to do it? Or girls, and we didn't do it on purpose because we already had full lips. But you used to get these little suction things and you put it over your lips and it will make your lips grab all the blood that it could and make them just pop. As soon as you took it off, you had full, juicy, bloodshot red sometimes lips. Don't get any salt or sour on it. It busts that skin. It was a jacked up thing. These girls are doing that now.
Unbelievable.
On school bus.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It is, I've never been a woman, obviously. Being a man is not something I started in 2012. So, it's almost like the difference between living on land and jumping inside the ocean. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
And I would say, a lot of people say, well, you men, you guys don't have to worry about that. I dispute that concept that we don't have to worry about that.
Yes, I do too.
I think we choose not to worry about that. And there's a difference. At some point, regardless of who started it, the individual is responsible for freeing themselves. And when you talk about oppression, right? I have seen no oppression greater than the oppression that women put themselves under. Right?
Yes.
Now
we are terrible.
Now, someone, I'm not saying that someone else, some dubious, wealthy tycoon didn't use the media and influence to market products and this, that, and the other and boost his sales and use the psychology. Most people think that psychology is a study derived for the purpose of solving social and mental issues. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The reality of it is the primary use of psychology is derived to sell products and merchandise and manipulate people and nations.
Come on now.
Right? And so when you realize that the science of psychology is being utilized by people in high places to get you caught up into a psychological web.
And to buy product.
Your dysmorphia makes people money. There's nothing that makes more money in a corporatocracy, in a capitalist world than single men and single women.
Yeah.
Because
or even just low self-esteem and low self-image people and self-sabotage.
That's 100% true. But the real meat of it for the manipulators of this whole thing is to create an adult single class.
Yeah.
And the reason for the adult single class is such. You got to have 2 homes or 2 apartments, 2 sets of furniture, 2 refrigerators, 2 insurance policies, 2 air conditioning units, 2 light bills, 2 water bills, right?
Yeah.
2 beds, 2 of everything. So now you done took a thing and you've doubled up on everything. So now the expenses have doubled because the man and woman are not cohabitating and sharing a space together. That's number 1. Number 2, by being single, you create a thing called a hyper-consumer.
Yes. Because
people who are married and pair it off at a young age until their elder age won't take a $10,000 salary bonus and buy an $8,000 purse. Nor will they take a $10,000 salary bonus and buy $8,000 worth of rims for their ride. All of these things we do as hyper consumers because we're single. And single people are out trying to impress. So part of the reason for the dynamic of all of this dystopia about how we look is because we stay single. And we're a society of single people. And as a society of single people who can't get along with each other, that's another topic.
Okay. Yep. Because I was going to say,
dystopia.
You're embarking on a whole another subject because that's called selfishness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Lord knows what that can go into in the labels and disorders of this world.
Well, because
behavioral things too.
We're taught constantly. Like you hear, all the time. Well, I don't do that for women to attract men. Mm-hmm. You're trying to be attractive. You're single, but you're not. You're in some type of dystopia that you're not trying to attract men.
Yeah. So
you're so adverse to accepting the reality of this treadmill that you've been running on. Mm-hmm. And nobody's getting off the treadmill, right? And so, a lot of this is because we're hyper consumers.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting paid off of it.
Yep.
It creates an industry, it creates a market. Mm-hmm. And they love the dystopia. They love the fact that we can't naturally make it on our own.
Yeah.
That we can't just get a little witch hazel, rub it on our face and go outside and brush our hair back and be cool with it.
Or just accept ourselves as we are.
Because most of us don't serve or are not acknowledging that we serve a higher purpose.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this question. Would you date, have you ever, and would you ever date a woman with a BBL or tummy tuck or breast augmentation, either or all?
That's a complex question, and I'm going to tell you why. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to make it quick as possible. I would definitely prefer not to.
Okay.
Right? But whenever you have numbers that says that 84% of some population does something, you create you make a person have no options. Mm-hmm. Right? So if a person is single, you can't tell them, well, you dated Pam, she had that, so that means you like it. So I think a lot of times we get carried away for the fact that somebody dated somebody, and that is an indication that they like it. No, society didn't give them a choice. When 80, 70, 90% of the population does a particular thing, if 95% of all women cut their fingers off, I'd probably date a girl without fingers, but I do not prefer girls without fingers. I prefer fingers.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you give a person a fair options, you give a person, you got 10,000 women over here to choose from that don't do this, and 10,000 women over here to choose from that don't do that, that do this, then you'll see what the true preference is, right? Okay. But a lot of times what happens is, from a male perspective, we get with women who are doing things that we don't like. And because they're doing things that we don't like, we don't treat them quite like we would like to treat them. And we don't give them the commitment that we otherwise would give them because they're doing things that we don't like. And we're forced to date things and people that we don't like about them because society said that this was the popular thing to do. But the men never signed off on it. Men never signed off on it. Men never.
And women are just out here just going with
they're
their
going along with it.
Little selfish world.
And just because men are going to have a certain amount of physical encounters in their life, regardless, they're going to get theirs, regardless. Mm-hmm. No matter what happens in life, war, poverty, whatever, men are going to get theirs. And so women think they're doing something because men are always going to get theirs. But if you told men the preference when you compare apples to apples, don't say, well, I want to take this woman over here that's all natural and compare it to this beautiful woman over here that's this, that, and the other. And then at the same time, you're not really comparing apples to apples. You can't take the
You're right.
You got to compare apples to apples.
You're so right there.
Bring me the Alicia Keys of the world and the this, that, and the other, and then compare it, then see what we're going to. You got to be apples to apples. You know, because sometimes a woman cannot have everything that you want, but she got everything that you want, if that makes sense. So I would say this. Men who are very surface and materialistic and very image orientated, they probably might not have a problem with plastic women. Right?
I just saw a scene on the Pop It, the balloon pop date thing. You know what I'm talking about? That little show where the guys, go through and the guys have the balloons and there was a young lady. She asked a question: do you prefer a woman that's real or not so real? How do you feel about women with plastic surgery? And one guy said, I don't like you. I don't prefer it. He said, I don't think you need to fix a flat. I don't think you need to do any of that. I would prefer to accept you the way you are. And she was so taken away with that. She's like, oh, Mr. Woke. She called him all kinds of names.
Oh, yeah.
And one guy said, as long as it doesn't get to your head and make you, get the big head.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but I prefer not to. And then one guy said, I've had dated someone and it just didn't feel right. The butt didn't feel like a butt. And he was talking about it in a different type of environment, in the sexual bedroom environment, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, he just preferred not.
Let me say this. Women get a very docile, very capitulating vantage point of men. So when men are asked questions by women, it's akin to your employer asking you a question about how much you like the company. Right? So what a man really wants to say, in other words, most men super sugarcoat what they have to say. And what men know is the majority rules with women. So men are not just looking out for the interests of the woman that's asking him the question. He's thinking about all of the women that might see this. And women being clan orientated, right? Meaning you said that to her. Well, my friend, she may not have the BBL, but her friend does. And she may not. So now he's taking his value amongst women and reducing it because he said something that women felt, was unpalatable, that they didn't want to hear. So, so very few men are actually walking around with zero fear of what a woman thinks. And those are the only men that you can ask, what do men think? The rest of them have an intrinsic fear of women, probably more so than they do their jobs.
So I guess the guy who was talking about fix a flat was really about telling the truth. And he was like, I didn't mean to offend you, but that's what I really feel.
Now there's a percentage of men who will do it and genuinely do, but they have a different perception of women altogether.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you want a guy that's thinking about a mother and somebody to introduce to his mother and somebody to grow old with and someone who has values and things of that nature and responds to a higher calling, I want to say there is not one of them that wants that on the planet Earth. Right? Not that he'll prefer it. Now, will he take it? I got the perfect woman and she went out 5 years before I met her and got this booty tootie. Do I not talk to her or do I talk to her?
Because some women can have lingerie that just kind of pushes them up. They didn't get the surgery too. Yeah,
some women just look great, period. And without it. But here's the thing. It's conceptual. It's like, it's the same thing as a guy with fake muscles and fake biceps.
Yeah.
If you find out I had fake muscles, fake biceps, and I took you in my rent-a-car to my rent-a-house, how would you feel?
Cheated.
Deceived.
Catfished.
Right? Catfished, right? So that's exactly how men feel every day.
From a woman
Yep.
who is doing those things. Got it.
It's the exact same sensation, right? And so after you've been catfished, you might turn around and be like, well, how much of it was true?
Right.
Maybe I can salvage this. Maybe, okay, if he doesn't drive a Ferrari, does he at least have a car?
Right.
Maybe he doesn't play for the NBA, but does he at least have a job? Now you're trying to do damage control. But at the end of the day, you felt deceived. You felt lied to. Mm-hmm. And that's the danger of not being yourself, because it's just like catfishing somebody. Why would you want somebody who really isn't into the real you?
That's true.
And I don't know why people don't do more to work on themselves. Mm-hmm. I think these surgeries and all of this stuff becomes like a shortcut of the real work that we need to do.
I can see that. I definitely could. And the way we need to end this show is basically to say that it's by choice, but it's also by a discipline choice. And when you have a little discipline and preference in the way you see yourself and the way you feel about yourself and your esteem, all of those other things will never be in the forefront at all. They will never play the front and the executive and the cover up, because all of that has to come off and it shows back up in your behavior too.
Yes.
So we have to be cognizant about our choices.
Yeah. I want to say we'll never be able to stop filling those voids. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm not going to sit here and try to make the people who've done A, B, and C feel bad. I do want to caution people about what's going on internally to make them want to do A, B, and C.
Awesome.
And have we addressed those things? Yeah, you can still catch a man with this, that, and the other. But if you needed that to catch him, is he even somebody that you really want?
Absolutely right.
Because if he isn't made to be magnetized by you naturally, he's probably really not the guy for you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we want to see if we can shoot ourselves in the foot by pair bonding with the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So a man that isn't attracted to you naturally is probably not for you, right? And every man shouldn't be attracted to every woman. So I said all of that to say that we've got to look at the inner things that cause these things, and we'll never be able to stop filling the void, whether it's with ice cream or cars or money or prestige or whatever it is, until we do the work of being happy with who we are in the universe. Mm-hmm. We're going to always fall victim to some doctor or some gimmick or some fad.
That's so true. Awesome. Well, ladies, you heard it from the Abdul Speaks. And thank you so much for sharing this time with us on the Nitty Gritty. If you love to share this podcast, please do so by sharing it, subscribing to it, as well as checking us out on several other platforms you'll see in our bio. Any other last words?
Love yourself and be yourself.
All right. Take us out. Have a good